Are you tired of watching the same YouTube video over and over, never offering anything new? Is your feed full of low quality, low effort garbage? Do I have the solution for you? This video, you're watching it. Even if you didn't want to watch commercials, you watch them. You didn't have a choice. And you've seen the same ones over and over. If you've seen the same TV episode 10 times, you've seen the same commercial 50 times. And the commercials in the 2000s were awesome. Up until the early 2010s, the commercials advertising high processed food, newfangled quick fix products, really gimmicky toys, and life alerts, coupled with absurdist and surreal humor, were arguably the best era of commercials. They were something new. This decade and a half broke the mold that was solidified by the previous decades. They did more than sell a product. They immersed you into this lore-filled, weird, short-minute-long world, which sometimes had an ongoing storyline. The mascots were no longer these generic, smiling faces. Imagine the mascots of the 90s being a burger. Burgers are good, but they can be plain. Now the 2000s mascots are loaded up. Bacon, onions, all 8 sauces, lechuga, french fries if you're feeling zesty, chips if you're feeling unnecessary, but no tomato. You're objectively a bad individual if you eat tomatoes. But point being, there's so much to these mascots. They weren't a one-dimensional friendly face. Some of them were evil. They had layers that were uncovered over multiple commercials. They did what mascots are supposed to do, product awareness, but you don't remember them because of the sheer amount of times you saw them like you would with Tony the Tiger or Toucan Sam. These commercials imprinted themselves in your brain, forcing their strong presence into your memory. Not only did the 2000s create these original commercials, but morphed existing commercials into this new model. And so now I want to talk about these groundbreaking ad campaigns and infomercials. And don't think I'm going to leave out the bad, because of course some of these sucked, and some of them sucked bad, and some of them sucked but were good. I'll get to it. There are 5 commercial series that really broke this mold. First is the M&Ms, and I won't spend too much time on them because I know every single one of you are dedicated fans and have already seen my M&Ms video, right? Emerging out of the last few years of the 90s, Red and Yellow still probably hold the prize for being the most irreverent mascots, particularly Red. The Spokes candies introduced overtly sexual humor and innuendos into the advertising space, or at least into mascots. They're completely transparent about their desire to eat each other or various other potentially worse things. Kinda depends on where your moral compass lies. They were also extremely funny. Very absurd and surreal humor. This type of humor completely dominated most of the actor, non-mascot commercials. I'm not giving M&M's credit for that. I don't exactly know where that spawned. They didn't just have Red and Yellow either. They had a slew of irreverent characters with some very loose world building, but nowhere near the amount Goldfish Crackers had. Speaking of, and they've been spoken of alright, not 1 video about the lore, not 2 videos about the lore, not even 3, but 4. 4 videos. At least with high views. Haven't they been talked to death? You bet. If only there was another lore YouTuber that hadn't touched on them yet. Coming 2026. We'll see how that ages. The Goldfish almost have a show. There are seasons. There's storytelling for crackers. This was hardly an advertisement. It was an interstitial between episodes of SpongeBob and Danny Phantom. I can't say every episode kept you on the edge of your seat waiting for the next one, but they were clearly episodic. And they made the commercial break actually good. Something the modern commercials lack. In every kind of commercial. No matter if it's a food, a tool, an app, none of them are worth watching. No one in 2035 will be watching compilations of 2025 ads, but I know plenty of people 20 years later are still going back to rewatch these classics. Taking the M&M's humor a step forward, the Pop-Tart commercials. Back when they had the crazy good slogan, paired with this very unique art style that apparently had Parkinson's. Look at it shake. These commercials were very short, following a few Pop-Tarts getting murdered in horrific ways for consumption. They eat a baby, but it works for this. I think half of that is the art style. It stands out from the others with a completely white, hardly any color, lack of details background. The new cool thing was to make the mascots 3D with the brand spanking new CGI technology, but they decided otherwise, maybe for budget, maybe for creative style, but this ultimately was the best choice. In terms of paving the way and breaking down barriers, the cruel humor certainly did that, to an extent that really hasn't been replicated or matched since. What other commercials can you say were downright maliciously evil on occasion? I attributed some absurd and surreal humor to M&M's, but there is another series of commercials more well known for that. Not Airheads, not the gross Skittles commercials, or the fruit by the foot, but Capri Sun. What is this? There are many that still have humor like this, but not to this extent. Do you really think you could turn on the TV and see this now? No. Beyond the complete randomness, they were sometimes more cruel than Pop-Tarts, but it comes off more lighthearted here. But it's really some Cronenberg level of body horror. If you didn't respect the pouch, you could blow up, turn into whoopee cushions, or turn to sand and watch your body disintegrate. Like I said, it seems innocent, but this fruit juice pouch is responsible for a lot of death. I don't know if it was these commercials that started the trend of having children wind up like Garbage Pail Kids, but they did it the best. You could argue Airheads was better. They weren't bad, but they just did the one thing. And the last of the major 5, maybe not my personal favorite, I'm not sure which one is, but the most iconic to me. If you told me to think of a commercial from your childhood quick, that's a really weird fake scenario. What would be the actual reason that would come up in a conversation? Especially, why would you need it quickly? Cinnamon Toast Crunch is what I would think of. At the end of the 2000s, coming out in 2009, I view it as an amalgamation of what the decade had delivered. Crude and cruel cannibalistic freaks, and they didn't even have to speak to deliver the humor. Not really the biggest story. I mean, they just lived in a bowl and ate each other. But as a kid, it certainly felt like there was some interconnecting story. Besides Pop-Tarts and most of Capri Sun, these commercials had a look to them. The early 2000s CGI. It wasn't great, but it's a very specific look. It's not an ugly graphics look like a PlayStation game. It's like round, and the eyes had a certain way about them. I don't know how to explain it. A lot of them had this. It reminds me of Rabbids and Crazy Frog. If any of you know if this has a name, please tell me. I have to refer to this animation style more than regular people have to, so that would be helpful. Casey the Kid Cuisine Penguin is a quintessential example of this, and the Honeycombs mascot. Way too short-lived. The Kid Cuisine commercials, while still nostalgic, are pretty run-of-the-mill. He is just another mascot like Tony. Not much more beyond that smiling face. Some honorable mentions for the greatest mascots of this time period are the Serta Sheep, not getting nearly enough recognition. Very few mascots use claymation. The Applejacks guys, Bad Apple and Cinnamon. This one's also stop motion. Chips Ahoy, again, stop motion. The Honeycomb mascot, who doesn't have a name. Fruit Snackia, the Fruit Roll-Up, Fruit by the Foot, and Gushers City, which borrows the cannibalism idea, not claymation. The Arby's Oven Mitt, the Geico Gecko, Mr. Mucus of Mucinex, the Kmart Light Bulb, Mr. Blue Light, Sergeant Twistable, and Happy of McDonald's. He really fits the look of this era, but he debuted in America in 2014, so we're getting a little too new with him, but he has existed since 2009 in other places. One mascot group I didn't particularly care for was the Spaghetti O's. It's not the worst thing ever. They personified the O's, but they didn't give him any eyes or limbs or anything. I guess the center is the mouth. They just don't compare to the others. Same with the Charmin Bears. They were more of the classic, just that smiling face on the package. Spung Monkeys are in the lower tier of mascots, definitely not as well known. I like their story of being an internet sensation, then getting picked up for sandwiches. Their design is definitely a dated relic of the past, but that's half the charm to them. But they're still not as bad as the other sub-sandwich mascot. I know essentially every character I listed was new to the 2000s. They were a bunch of new faces for Gen Z to grow up with. I'm not trying to portray that the only way to have a good mascot this decade was to create a new one. I wouldn't want Frosted Flakes or McDonald's to remove Tony and Ronald in place of someone new. It's usually never a good idea to get rid of a fan favorite character. But the reason the new guys overshadowed the old ones is because most of them didn't do anything different. They stuck to being generic, which again is not bad, but it cannot compete with the funny and crude characters. The classics that did switch it up a little were Buzz from Honey Nut Cheerios, they gave him an entire honey world, and the Flintstones of Fruity Pebbles. A surprising amount of commercials took place in nothing. Progressive is the best example of this. Oh yeah, the Progressive box mascot is another honorable mention. We can give Flo a lot of credit for why these are so iconic, but you cannot deny this white void added to the weirdness of it. I get it's probably budget, but a lot of them have it. M&M's sometimes, Pop-Tarts for the most part, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a bowl, but still the same effect. Crave, also add them to the honorable mentions. Energizer, and there's more. The one that isn't a complete void, but is still void adjacent, is the Reese's Puffs commercial. R-E-E-S-E-S, yes. This guy's in the house that would never logistically exist, but we all want to go to. No one has all their appliances pure white. This is one of the best jingles of the decade. Maybe the best. Every kid knows this song. The second best jingle was the 800-588-2300 Empire. The jingle itself is older than dirt, but the Empire Man, the CG version, is what came out of these years. They had previously used this guy until he became digital. This simple little ad felt cozy, like you knew this man. Also, is the carpet made of lead? It shakes the whole house when he places it. Also, that means he's jacked. The Hershey's Kiss Christmas commercial. Does this count as an advertising jingle? By definition, yes. Look, this first aired in 1989 and didn't change until 2012. It shouldn't even be talked about in this video, but hear me out. I'm going to. 10 green and red kisses, jingle jangle, we wish you a Merry Christmas, while the silver one conducts them. And I just love this commercial more than someone should love a commercial. It's a sign Christmas is here. But in 2020, they changed that. And this kid took the finishing red jingle kiss and used it for a cookie. And then later renditions have the red one returning, they hug, and the silver one is one of the nasty sugar cookie ones. If you haven't had one of these, don't. It actually tastes like eating a wicker basket. Change is good sometimes, but you don't need to change this. 31 years, it was great, and now you change it. It's not this girl's fault, but some big exec. I vote a crucifixion is necessary. We will use the points of Hershey Kisses to create the stigmata. If the mascots weren't animated or people, a lot of companies had talking animals. Not the most convincing thing, they probably fooled some kid out there. Sometimes they'd literally talk, and other times it was an internal dialogue. The Beggin' Bacon dog treats and the birds with the Windex are the best ones of this kind.
I love you. I love bacon. I love you. I love bacon.
One type of commercial that dominates now that didn't really seem to be that prevalent in the 2000s was the emotional ones. All about the family and that gaggy stuff. They're constantly on around holidays. They can be good every now and then, but they are the worst type of commercials. The good emotional ones, not really emotional, more endearing, cutesy, is the Chef Boyardee ad, where the can rolls home to that kid. It doesn't shove it in your face, and it's mixed with great music, and the convincing little girl actress made it a really well done commercial. Now the next section, infomercials. Infomercials were not new, and they hardly changed. There is a model and a format, and they followed it. Some of them begin looking black and white, but I think are actually more often really low saturation. Are you tired of blinking every few seconds, every single day? And then like Dorothy walking through the land of Oz, everything becomes color? Well, do we have the product for you? The patent pending Blink-O-Matic. It blinks for you. No longer do you have to deal with the struggle of closing those pesky eyelids. It's solved by the Blink-O-Matic seamless mechanism. You and your friends can finally enjoy coffee together without focusing on blinking, and now you need to think about blinking. Call 1-800-BITE-ME right now for this exclusive offer and we'll throw in this drop ceiling tile. But that's not all. If you call within the next 30 minutes, we'll also send you this movie, filmed on this 16mm reel called Don't Watch It With Your Kids. But don't just take my word for it. Here's a loyal customer.
Oh, heaven to Betsy, I love my Blink-O-Matic. I don't know what I would do without it. I have glaucoma in both my eyes and a bad hip. This sure does help me. Wait, hang on a second. How do I get it to stop? Stop.
Again, that's 1-800-BITE-ME and we'll steal your money for you. Get this limited time deal now for only $19.99.99. No money back guarantee. Don't delay. Order your Blink-O-Matic now. That's basically the gist. The products were dumb, you didn't need it, and they'll offer an extra thing for free, but you better believe you're paying extra on that shipping. And then they always offered a DVD to go with it, as if you need that for pots and pans. I'm also not saying these have stopped, these still air today, but I want to talk about some of the stupid products. The Bacon Bowl is one of these. It's the thing you've been missing. It molds bacon into the shape of a bowl. Who needs this? Temu junk before Temu. The Aqua Globes, a plant waterer, because watering your plants is too hard. I can understand this one, what if you go on vacation? But look at when they show the, oh no, your plant died. This woman just shakes her head in disbelief. Are you telling me you haven't watched the plant slowly decay over the last few weeks in your house? This is a shock to you? Toothpaste dispensers. Really? Is it that hard? These caps for pop cans to keep them carbonated. It's a fine idea, if it works, but this kid accidentally knocks over his pop and then freaks out like he just learned snails can impregnate themselves. It's just a spill. He's definitely getting beat if this is how he reacts. The girl too, she didn't even do anything and flips out. Then there's lots of cooking stuff. Slightly unique pots and pans and trays, so much to do with cakes, gimmicky containers. Betty Crocker had a lot of it obviously. And then there's Billy Mays, who advertised everything. He just promoted whatever. Tools, cooking, car stuff. At least it was fun to watch. He was charismatic and seemed to genuinely care about the product. The Mighty Putty ad made me question the profit margins. They offer 2 vials of this miracle Play-Doh that can pull a semi for 20 bucks, but then they're like, wait, you can get 2 more vials. But that's not it. You can get 2 more vials. So you get 6 tubes of this for 20 bucks. Why not just sell that? Optics, I guess, make it look like a better deal. Also, why is there a hanging cinder block? Nice decor. Billy Mays, without question, wins the best human spokesperson spot. Not that he had much competition. The ShamWow guy, He's alright, I guess. I hate watching fabrics and that kind of stuff get wet. I don't know why, I just imagine sucking the water through it. It's one of those heebie-jeebie things like nails on a chalkboard. It makes your arm hairs stick up and it makes your nipples get hard. Bleh. And then there was Mike Lindell, my pillow guy. He also seemed genuine. Did you know he was a crack addict? Wonder what he's up to today.
Lumpy pillow calls.
No, they're not lumpy pillows. That's not what they call on. Okay? That when you say lumpy pillows, now you're an asshole. You got that? You're an asshole,
Like
is what you are.
like
No,
sorry.
he's an asshole.
No,
He's
it's
an
how-
ambulance chasing asshole. That's what you are. Lumpy pillows, kiss my ass. Put that in your book. He's a scumbag for doing that. Put that in there. Scumbag. S-C-U-M bag. That's what he is, for what he did to me.
What I'm saying is, Mr. Lindell,
Asshole. What? Go ahead. No, I'm pissed. Rotten, horrible lawyers like you and the media saying, oh, Mike Lindell's trying to save this country just to make money. I have lost everything I've had so far. You got it? So don't sit here because I'm not going to take this garbage you're spewing out. This is a horrific what you're doing. I've said it from the start of this thing. It's disgusting. I've lost millions of dollars. How do you guys sleep at night? You obviously don't have a My Pillow. That's a fact.
Push aside the thousands of cooking products, what's there for us kids? Zoo Pals, Pillow Pets, Stuffies, proving again the power of a jingle, Floam and Kinetic Sand, very gimmicky as seen on TV toys. But the actual toy companies, the ones with the budget, those were awesome. Lego would have mini movies for you, no matter what theme, but the Star Wars ones were unmatched. The Hexbugs commercials were also really awesome. Obviously being targeted towards kids, they had super close-up frames of the jaw-dropping faces, sometimes they made their eyes bulge, they got super close on the goopy slime stuff that invaded the toys of the time. If the toys moved around, it epically followed them around like it's the opening to The Shining. The tone of the narration wasn't mundane. It had this optimism and excitement. The toy commercials had such a feeling of grandeur. It's like the companies said, we know we have the best toys yet. Ours don't have lead paint this decade. No generation can beat our toys in the 2000s. Again, with the addition to CG, it opened up a whole new world for these commercials. You could see the toys move in a way you hadn't before, but then there was some bad toy commercials. Fushigi Ball, the biggest scam. Of course, it wowed the kids. It looks like magic. It looks cool. But in case you didn't know, this is just a ball. That is all it is, and they sell you a DVD with it so you can learn how to use it. It's just juggling tricks. You can do it with any ball. It's like showing a magic trick, saying the deck of cards is magic, and selling you a regular deck of cards with a how-to video. Just a quick little break, I have a question. Would you call this a fortress? No? Okay, well, what about a monument? No? Okay. Well, it's surely a temple. Wait, surely it's a temple. Shirley Temple. You remember these. You could buy a whole box set of her movies. It was a little girl who tap danced and sang, and she had a lot of movies. Apparently it was a different time in the 30s. I guess it brightened your day if you saw these, if you could afford to see it. Maybe that's why they tried to sell these so often. No one in the Great Depression actually got their chance to see them. Did you know if any of the kids misbehaved on set, they locked them in a windowless room called the punishment booths, and the only thing to do was sit on a block of ice? There's your fact of the day. I just want to know who the target audience is with this. Like, these were on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, but I don't think many kids after watching Codename Kids Next Door was like, ooh, this show was really good. Shirley Temple looks interesting compared to that. Mom, Dad, I want this box set. At the end of the commercial, it says rush delivery is available. Who is like, oh my god, I gotta have this right now, next day shipping? Maybe if it's for a birthday, but again, who wants this as a gift? Okay, maybe I'm just a little cynical. What does Shirley Temple say here?
My duck can lay an egg.
Duck. Sure. Did you know she became a US ambassador? The Chia Pet. It feels like it's meant for kids, especially with the characters they use. I never had one, so I can't attest to this, but if you did get one as a kid, isn't it boring? More than that, isn't it disappointing? Unless you collected Chia Pets, you just got a plant that grows funny. It's not a toy, you can't do anything with it, but never mind, I'm not supposed to be talking about the product itself. The jingle has been ingrained in the minds of many, so it's still a successful commercial. It's not as good as the others.
Attention parents and grandparents of young children.
The Gerber Life Grow Up Plan. Such a serious commercial. It's like an Amber Alert in commercial form. Did they think it was going to be convincing to make you want to invest in your kids? No. You could at least add a drooling baby or something. Try to make it cute for someone. Instead, you're sleeping on the couch at 3 o'clock in the morning and you accidentally left the TV on, and then this comes on, it wakes you up, your heart is pounding, freaked out, and then once this is over, you get to watch George Lopez. The next section, why the 2000s have the best best commercials. They were funny. That seems sort of vague and plain. There were funny ones before, and there's funny ones now. But is there really? Think about it. Is Liberty Bibberty funny? Is the Limu Emu funny? Don't turn into your parents' progressive commercials. Those kind of are. Can you think of any others? All you can think of is middle-aged people being awkward and having lots of contempt for everything. Lately, I've been getting these English muffin ads from the brand Thomas, and this guy that talks funny spawns in their cabinet, and there's such an obvious attempt at having a sort of deadpan, awkward, sort of cringy joke to it, but there just isn't. The big joke is that they say, "Thanks, Tom," and he's like, "It's Tom, actually," and then they're like, "Yeah, that's what we said, Tom." No, Tom. And there's such a minute difference. One's a name, one's a book. I don't know. This commercial is half the reason I'm making this video. I just kept getting it, and I hate it. Another one that inspired me was this Cheez-It commercial. This sonogram lady is like, "Ooh, so cheesy, baby." And she's looking at a floating Cheez-It. Man, that's really got me. Jake from State Farm was an actually funny commercial. Subverting expectations, the delivery, everybody around the nation loved this commercial. This one where they're playing charades and this guy's on the floor smelling the carpet, but they think he's playing. It's not laugh out loud funny, but there's humor to that. Maybe I'm looking through rose-tinted glasses. The funniest commercials, don't know if they were even supposed to be, were the low-budget ones. The real low-budget commercials. Like mattress stores, car stores, class action lawsuit commercials. Sometimes they would use this type of animation, or it would look like it was filmed on a camcorder. Life Alert had super serious commercials. I know they didn't originate in this decade, but technology and cameras were getting better, like were really good, and they decided not to upgrade for whatever reason. We're entering the age of smartphones, and this is what the commercials looked like. Part of me hopes it was for humor, not specifically Life Alert, but all the commercials that were this bad quality, like a tongue-in-cheek type of humor. They know it's bad, but they keep the stern tone to be funny. Is that what they're going for nowadays? Because it's just bad. There is no tongues in cheeks. The Speaking Animal commercials had this type of humor, not a low quality visually, but in concept. Hearing what a regular dog thinks about day to day isn't gonna make anyone crack up. It's almost annoying in a way, but it's an endearing annoyance. It's just goofy. I know that sounds like I'm pandering to this era. Even the annoying ones were good. Rather than something constantly repeating or a nasally voice or some crazy song you have to hear on end every commercial. If a narrating dog receiving a treat was the most annoying thing from this era, that's not bad. Even if you want to say it's unfunny or horribly annoying, at least you can say there's an obvious attempt at humor. And I don't know if you can say that about modern ones. Maybe it's nostalgia, but I don't think it is. These were more creative, more cozy, more fun. They made you think. They filled you with wonder, horror, confusion. And every commercial didn't advertise a new medicine. It's just safe now. No one is doing anything new. No one's pushing boundaries. There's barely any new mascots. It doesn't seem like anyone cares. Overall, there wasn't junk like there is now. And no, I'm not trying to say, because it currently sucks, it makes the past better. I think I've more than made a case that the past was just better. Anyway, you should subscribe and join my Discord and follow me on Instagram and TikTok. This is not a limited time offer, no purchase necessary. Offer valid at participating YouTube channels, void where prohibited. No animals were harmed during the production of this video, besides one gopher. This is subject to change without notice. Side effects may include overabundance of amazing content, breathing problems from laughing too hard, too much brain function from thought-provoking videos, sudden bursts of homosexuality, a constant feeling that you're better than everyone, a secondary feeling reaffirming you are better than everyone. Don't call a doctor if these side effects persist. Terms and conditions apply.